Why, yes, we have official news from the Outriders dev team. Check it out. We're going to be going over this post right here. It is Dev News Thursday. We're going to be talking about the Appreciation Package rerun, balancing, patch news, multiplayer and connectivity, and a list of known issues as well that they are actually looking into right now. Plus, we're going to be talking about a bunch of other things later on in this video and going over your top comments. So let's do this. Hey everyone, what's happening? Open World Games here. Hope you're doing good. And we're talking about more Outriders today. So let's go straight into the dev news post here from the community manager. We're going to dive straight into it, starting out with the Appreciation Package rerun. So let's dive in to see what the community manager has to say. He goes on to say this: let's give this another go, shall we? We've now rerun the Appreciation Package for all players who previously logged in and claimed it before this afternoon, as we will assume that those players didn't receive, a unique item as we had intended. Now you should now all have received a new God Roll weapon that you haven't previously obtained. If you previously have already obtained all 46 legendary weapons in the game, you will still receive a new weapon, but it will, as expected, be something you previously obtained. Please check all characters, your stash, and all inventory pockets, including your sidearm inventory for the weapon. Weapons from the first Appreciation Package will not be removed from your inventory, even if they were duplicate. Now, for anyone coming back to the game now or in the future, you will receive a random God-rolled legendary weapon, which you will have not previously obtained on any character. Please check all inventory pockets, including your sidearm inventory for the weapon. And they also said if your inventory is full, please check your stash for the legendary weapon. If both your inventory and stash are full, the legendary weapon will appear when you're next free up an inventory space and restart the game. If you have already previously found all weapons, your character will be granted the rarest weapon for their class. Now, extra titanium based on your character's level has been received. A new emote, Frustration, has also been unlocked for all your characters. Okay. And then the game restart may be required for that to appear. We already know that, but yeah, it sounds like they reran the Appreciation Package because some of you did not receive a legendary weapon, or you didn't receive the proper legendary weapon and you were busy letting, of course, People Can Fly know about that issue. So go ahead, check your inventories. Let me know if you get your legendary weapon. Hopefully you do. Now let's talk about balancing. It goes on to say this: balancing. Our balancing team is currently scoping out some further balancing buffs to underutilized skills. We'll share more details around these in the future. Nice. You know, they did a really nice job buffing the character classes more recently, and I've been really impressed by that. So hopefully they can further keep buffing things that are just not something that you're interested in using, and then you can actually start really experimenting with character classes and that sort of thing. So we'll see what happens with that. Now also, we have more patch news as well. They go on to say this: earlier this week we released our latest patch. You can read the full patch notes for it here. While we are already hard at work on the next patch, it's currently looking unlikely to be ready by next week. We would be keen to hear about your thoughts on how the game has changed with the release of this week's patch. Where have you noticed the most improvements? Of course, I think that goes without saying. It's going to be within the legendary drop rates. But, you know, they ask, where did you see the most improvements? But also, what would you guys like to see change further down the road with this game? What improvements do you still think need to be implemented in this game? Now we're going to talk a little about multiplayer and connectivity. It's always been an issue with this game, so let's dive in. It says, while the legendary change and the addition of controllers are likely the most exciting improvements we introduced, we did also make significant improvements to multiplayer connectivity for many players. As multiplayer connectivity, rubber banding, and packet loss appear to be linked to a number of bug reports. In particular, for mods or skills not properly proccing or activating, we would be keen to hear from you about this. Did you notice any significant improvement in your multiplayer experience? And then you can give your feedback here. I will throw a link in the description below if you guys are having more problems with multiplayer and online issues. Sound off. Now they are also looking into a bunch of known issues. It's pretty much the same list as I have read off before in other videos, but here's some of them. Xbox problems relating to signing in. It's one of their top priorities. Certain mods not working as well. Scrap grenade mods stop working. So yeah, I've already gone over a lot of this stuff. I can throw this in the description below for you all, a link to this if you really want to read about it. But a lot of it's about, you know, Dismantle may not show a proper preview, things like that. The minor issues that kind of gather up together to kind of make the game a little bit of a pain to deal with. So they're going in there and sorting that out, it sounds, for the upcoming patch. Now also we have this post right here. It seems a lot of you guys are really happy with the most recent patch as well. So that is great. Now we have a post here from Sig O'Neill, who says, I will say I noticed a significant lack of teleporting enemies, a steadier connection, and my attacks actually dealing damage to enemies. Whatever you've done, you've brought me back to this game. The legendary drop rate increase has been phenomenal. Sad to see that the Borealis set isn't giving its bonus, but I will be happy to keep messing around with other things in the meantime. Good job, People Can Fly. Happy to see you've continued to improve this game. And we do have an interesting reply here from the community manager. He says, in reply to Borealis set isn't giving its bonus, it will soon enough. Smiley face. So yeah, this appears to be something they're working on for the upcoming patch, which again won't be landing next week, which is a shame. But yeah, they're working on it right now. Now we also have some further replies here to some questions from the community. Let's dive into that, shall we? So it says here, in regard to this, can you confirm if there are any restrictions like certain legendary items that drop from specific expeditions? It says there are no longer any restrictions on levels or areas for loot to drop. So have at it. Play whatever expeditions you want. Now it says, I ask because to my knowledge, these level restricted legendary drops were never communicated to the player base previously. I think we need full transparency to if there are any restrictions surrounding any legendary drops. Now the reply to this was why I previously was planning on being fully transparent and explaining the overall legendary drop system, and those restrictions regarding the drop rates, also fully outlining what was able to drop where. I wanted to ensure that everyone was farming in the best possible places instead of trying to acquire an item in a game area level where it couldn't drop. But my suggestion didn't exactly go down well, if you recall. ... Today's changes to the drop system should be much more straightforward to understand without needing to deep dive into it all. So my question is, do you guys still want like a deep dive into how the legendary system is spread out through the expeditions, you know, where to get the best item? They said that you don't really have to worry about that now, but it seems like some people still really want more intel or insight into how that system actually works, clearly. Now, Operation Fantastic goes on to say this. Just now, hi. My first time posting on Reddit. Appreciate the work you all have done with the update. 252 hours demo and 760 hours since full launch. My God. Now it says, I like the game. Questions on duplicates. I ran 8 gold challenge tier 13 and 14 completions today. I received on 2 different runs the Diamo SMG. I have a level 50 in my stash. Wasn't that not supposed to happen after reroll? I now have 3. Can you help? Thanks. Here's the reply from the community manager. He says, the chance of dupes dropping is reduced but not completely eliminated. Fundamentally, the loot does still rely on RNG, and that can in some cases lead to situations such as yours where a Diamo SMG drops a few times. The likelihood of this happening is now lower than it was pre-patch, but it's not impossible. So he's saying, you know, that can actually happen, that duplicates do happen. Of course, they try to re-roll those in most cases for you guys, but it can actually happen. It's rare, more rare now than ever before. But, you know, considering that they have really addressed a lot of the core issues with this game, except for the expeditions timers, we're going to have to talk about what they need to look to next with this game and what they need to fix. So this is the biggest question right here from Forbes. It says, what's left to fix in Outriders after legendary drop rates? Please sound off in the comments below what you think needs to be fixed. We're going to scroll down here through the article. It goes on to say the following. First of all, I'm not sure if I'm convinced these announced legendary changes will fully do the trick. I do think there needs to be better target farming, as this update is not introducing a knockout system despite the name anti-duplicate protection. So finding one item out of nearly 100 still may be proved too annoying for many players. I agree. You know, I think they do need events. This isn't a live service game though, so that's tough. I really wish it was a live service game, because what they could do is have these cool rotating events from boss to boss, and you could be like one weekend really focused on one area of the game to get you know, a certain legendary and so on and so forth. But yeah, let me know your ideas on how targeted farming could potentially work in, you know, an expansion for Outriders Sound Off. Now let's continue on here. It says, I also think that legendary items should have random rolls on them besides just damage or armor, and this idea of re-rolling items only once is pretty weird. I maintain the comment through that Tiago should have a rotating stock of legendary items each week so players can fill in the gaps, and random rolls would help this. Absolutely, this is my most requested feature, alongside the exhibition timers being changed or eliminated, or have an option to do something else with exhibitions entirely. But yes, Tiago, he needs a rotating shop. It's that simple. Now also we have some interesting tidbits here as well. It says, but past legendary, some other things, namely balancing. There needs to be a pass across a lot of the weapon archetypes that are underwhelming or almost impossible to use. Snipers, some LMGs, double guns, and all sidearms need a lot of work to become relevant in the current state of the game. People Can Fly did a good job buffing certain underused and underperforming skills and mods last patch, but obviously there are plenty more to go. They need to first fix issues with mini perks not working or triggering, but after that focus on buffing more skills and also entire set bonuses that are underperforming. Each class needs more than just 1 to 2 sets that are of any use. We need to see more class neutral mods buffed on armor and weapons, and we may need to see a couple nerfs as well. Sorry Fortress, you literally make no sense. Please, no yelling. This balance extends to enemies as well. Broodmothers, crawlers, alphas, and Strix all need some toning down in various ways. This also is on my like top 3 list. I'd say melee damage from enemies in general is too strong, especially from tiny critters like Peripheros. And then there's also some quality of life improvements that Forbes talks about. It says, I think People Can Fly should change the system where you're put straight into an exhibition rather than camp, preventing AFKing, which is a common problem. I don't know why like a safety guard wasn't put in place before the game came out to ensure that did not happen, but that needs to be addressed big time for matchmaking reasons to alleviate frustration. And it says solo players should get at least 1 self revive per expedition. Thank you very much. It says many of the timers need to be adjusted, as the difference between what is able to be golded is easily and what is borderline impossible without one-shotting everything is enormous. People Can Fly has already commented on this, but designing a reward system that promotes other builds besides DPS, healing, tanking to get the fastest clear times possible is a must for build diversity, and also it's important for playing with others. If they really want people to play with one another, you want the teams to be able to complement each other in different ways. Like, hey, here's your healer, here's your tank dude, here's your DPS guy, instead of everyone just going all in on DPS. Furthermore, he goes on to say this, make the campaign relevant again by upping its difficulty and allowing it to drop items above 42. It's a very awkward system that makes little sense in its current form exactly, and there's no point really to go back and replay it unless you want to spend the currency to upgrade items as well, but that's always an option. There's reasons to revisit the campaign, but right now having that level 42 cap is just such a pain, and they need to up that, I think, to the max level. That's just my opinion. That's what they need to do as well. All right, so let's go over your top comments on my most recent Outriders video. Let's see what you guys had to say, shall we? Let's do this. All right, my most recent video was called Outriders. The biggest update is here, and it's fantastic. Legendary drop rate changes and more. Again, kudos to People Can Fly for doing this update. It was definitely delayed because of the other problems the game has had. I wish they would have got to this update a lot sooner, to be honest with you, because I think a lot of people would have stuck around. That's my opinion. Anyway, Einhander says, slight issues at launch is the new "'tis but a flesh wound." Yeah, that got me too when they said it was slight issues at launch. I was like, not too sure that's the right wording there. How about major issues at launch? Tombstone says, I guess the collapsing building I drove by today had a slight issue when it was on fire. Tombstone said, TDP says, my first legendary drop after this patch, cannonball legs. Bummer, man. Hopefully you get better luck next time. Tony says this. That's a nice update. Still ain't going back though. Hope you guys enjoy the update. So I have to ask people like Tony here, what would make you come back to Outriders? That's the biggest question. Harish says this was an excellent patch. This game is finally starting to feel like the game is headed in the right direction. I agree. I totally agree. I also feel like because of this recent updates and updates they've made, they're setting up a future for the game in terms of upcoming expansions and DLCs. You know, that they're setting up a good framework, a great base to what's coming up. But yes, there it is, guys. Latest happenings around Outriders. Stay tuned for more Outriders news and open world gaming goodness. Thank you so much for love and support on the videos, and I will see you all next time. Take care.